challenges, right? We are now trying to do all the things as adults that we already had when we were kids.
Yeah.
And I find that truly amazing, saddening, and funny, kind of all at the same time, depending on what it is in the day.
Yeah, it is interesting to me, and I just I cannot figure out if I need to care about the whys or just keep moving in a forward direction.
Mhm.
You know, I don't know if I need to spend time on why do people believe the things they believe, or why do people act the way that they act? Why do they assume things they assume? You know, uh, I'm that word assumption has just been in my brain. You put it there,
Mhm.
but it's been in my brain because I'm consciously aware of it now and asking myself when situations occur, what am I assuming about the situation itself, the people involved, and what the outcome is going to be. And if I assume something that will bring about an outcome that I can be excited about as opposed to
Mhm.
being annoyed with. And just
Mhm.
looking at situations in that light has just changed my comfort level with myself.
Mhm.
Like I know that I'm choosing things that are going to benefit me. And when situations occur, I'm not going to choose something that's going to stick on me. You know, I can leave it wherever where wherever it is. I can leave it behind and leave it with that person. Um, if it's negative, I can just let them have it and hope they enjoy that negativity.
Mhm.
So I just had a
Good morning, everyone.
huh?
Oh no, sorry. I was just saying, saw a couple people come in, so I was just saying good morning to
Okay.
everyone. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I had a situation occur just yesterday where I left a note for somebody on a TikTok and said, that I have products that will help with some of the conditions on her face. And I'd be happy to send her some if she would appreciate it. I'd be happy to send her some stuff. Just hit me up. And her response was so unbelievable to me. She went into, you sell skincare products, you look older than my mother, and I'm 55, and you've got hair growing out of your chin, and there's something wrong with you, and your hair is ugly, and this and that and the other. And I was like, wow, that was quite a significant amount of energy that you spent on
Mhm.
that simple little comment. That was a lot of
Right,
energy. And I
right.
was talking to my daughter about it this morning, and she goes, I'm going to report her account for harassment and bullying. I said, no, I want to use that video and see if I can turn it around to a sales opportunity. I said, I think I can cut it apart and turn it into something I can use for sales. And she's like, where are you? She said, where are you? Why would you even think that? I said, I think I can make it work.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
So I appreciate all the mind shifts.
Mhm. Mm. I think a lot of times what we don't realize is that the assumptions we make are reflections of us. So whatever the situation is, it is, whatever it is. Whether it's raining outside, what thought do I have? What does that mean? Oh man, that means I'm going to get to work late because I always have to drive slow when it rains. Or it's hot outside. Oh man, I better get my fan when it gets hot. I get short of breath or whatever else it is. Just the simple, almost seemingly innocuous thoughts and beliefs, held beliefs that we have. We don't realize they're a literal reflection of our self-concept, our self-esteem, our just who we and what we believe ourselves to be in relation to that circumstance, well, period. And that belief is reflected in what we feel about ourselves in relation to this thing. So we have a lot of assumptions and don't realize that they're reflections of us. So we think we're just making assumptions and they have no relevance or meaning, when their only relevance or meaning is a reflection of us, because it's our assumption. It's something we are believing to be true. And we believe to be true based on, first, what we believe about ourselves. The source of the thing is what the thing is. It's what the thing is going to be.
Right.
So when we are the source of our assumption, whatever we are is what the assumption is going to, is what assumption is going to be produced, and therefore is a reflection of us. So that is really interesting, how we can have so many assumptions, so many deep-rooted, deep-seated beliefs, just automatic beliefs that we think, that we don't realize are literally mirrors. They're literally showing us what we think constantly, and how people, I don't think, really understand that. They seem detached. There's like a cognitive dissonance, right, between this, my assumption, and me, when they are literally the same thing. We're missing the opportunity. It's like getting dressed and walking by a mirror instead of stopping and looking in it. You're missing an opportunity to see yourself. And then when you don't realize, you go outside looking crazy, right? People are like, did you
have a
look
mirror
at
in your
yourself
house?
today?
Yeah.
Right. Do you have a mirror anywhere?
Right.
And you're like, yeah, I got 5. Then you really look crazy. Because people are like, how come you didn't use any of them? And it's that same thing. We have an assumption, and we think we are separate from what we're assuming. And it's just as crazy. We miss the opportunity to see ourselves in that assumption, what we're believing to be true, automatically, instantly.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Very true. Amanda, did you say something? I think I saw you come up.
I had said that hit home.
Oh, okay. In what way for you?
Honestly, like going in a circle, like seeing the things that as a child, um, it's just reassuring that, children do see things for what it is, and, your environment do affect you in certain ways. And that's why it is important to change your environment, it is important to be mindful as an adult on who and what you say around, because they do influence you. So, but as a child, I remember doing a lot of things that I was told that no, don't do it, and now as an adult, I'm still doing it.
Mm-hmm.
um and then also, like, looking at things as a reflection of yourself. I do talk, I have self-talks. So like you said, like, have you looked in the mirror? Like, did I do my self-talk today? And a lot of people would say, oh, you can't talk to yourself because that's crazy. But we talk to ourselves all the time. We have affirmations, we write journals, we talk to ourselves, we lie to ourselves, we tell ourselves something, even if it's there or not. Like, but for me, it's like, okay, yeah, that hit home. That really hit home.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. We can't help talking to ourselves. It's impossible to stop. I mean, it doesn't mean we're doing it every literal second, but the actual act of it, we do it every day. There's no way to get around it. It's just, sometimes it's loud, sometimes it's soft, sometimes we realize we're doing it, sometimes we realized we did it, but there's no way around it. That is the first person we've always talked to, and it's the last person we're going to talk to. It's us. Absolutely. And if we were to pay more attention to what we're saying to ourselves, we'd have a better understanding of why our life looks the way it does and is the way it is.
Right. Yes.
Right. It would literally be like a lot of times our life is like a TV show with no volume. We're looking at it, but there's something we're missing. And sometimes if you put that same show on and you put a caption, you would actually, that's like your inner talking. It gives you another mechanism to see what's going on. Sometimes you look at something, but you're not hearing it. Sometimes you're hearing something, but you're not seeing it. That closed caption gives you an opportunity to get that set of information, that feedback in a different way. And that inner conversation is another form of feedback that a lot of times we're not recognizing and realizing as an opportunity, like an assumption, to see what's going on in the mirror, to take a look in the mirror. What am I saying to myself? What am I thinking? What am I, in all those different areas? Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes. Well, good morning, everyone. We're going to get started. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to another Mindset Saturday, another day where we come together and reason and to improve the way we think, to improve the way we live, understanding that life is lived in the mind and expressed in the body, in our physical world. It's always mental before physical. It's always invisible before visible. So we are mastering the creative aspect of life so that we can experience and express what we choose, and realizing that we have a choice, and we always have a choice. We are the chooser. So good morning again. Good morning. Happy Saturday. Another week. Happy Saturday to everyone. Good morning. All right. Well, we're going to start off with our little famous thing. All right. Can everyone see that? If you can't, you're in the car, you're cooking, or you're doing whatever you're doing. Tread wheel. Tread wheel. Tread wheel. Does anybody have an idea of what this is?
The first thing that comes to my mind, I don't know why, is like some sort of like boat wheel, like a river boat. You know how they turn? So I can push them. Even though I don't know, I'm making this up, but you know, I go by my feelings a lot. So I be on my feelings.
Okay. Okay.
It's a gym object that we run on.
Okay. Okay. Both are true, actually. So the treadwheel was the original name. Now it is what we call the treadmill. Right? Does anybody know who, when, why, where, what this was created for? Anybody have any idea? I'm sorry?
I believe like the water, we used to do the water wheels things. Where we got the water from the rivers.
The water wheel. Okay. Okay. I understand what you're saying. Okay.
Because they had it connected.
Uh-huh.
They had the strip connected. So they had to use the band with the water wheels, and they was picking up the water.
Okay. Who else?
To move objects, like I know that they used like tread objects to move heavy trees and gravel and rocks and things like that in various construction situations.
Okay.
Don't laugh at me.
We're all laughing. Whether you right or wrong, we still laughing. Oh, it's
It
all
was
good.
a ride. It was for a ride for us to ride on fast.
For ride fast? Okay. Okay. All right. God, that was terrible. No, like, right? Okay. So watch this. The treadwheel, aka now the treadmill, was actually first invented in early 1800s as an instrument of torture. It was actually a torture instrument. It was designed by a civil engineer in about 1818, and he designed it for the prison systems for the most unruly of convicts, we had to get some people to calm down. These people were just out of control. So what they did was they put them on this. So that's why a lot of things you guys said kind of in pieces were true, in the sense of what they did was they put them on this 24 spoke, looks almost like a stair climber almost in a gym, but they put them on a 24 spoke wooden paddle circular stair climber thing. So you would just put your feet on there and you would go around and around and around. And they used it to, one, tire the people out, and two, they used it, the benefit that they got from it was they were able to use its kinetic energy to pump water in and out of the dams, to be able to put water in their fields, to be able to, they use this energy to power things that they hooked it up to, essentially. But what they did was they had people on there for 7 and 8 hours straight. And it basically made them sick, hurt, and some people died on it. Just literally, they ran out because they had poor diets back then too. So they didn't have the same dietary system we have now. They didn't have all the food we have now and things like that, because this is the early 1800s. But essentially, they were putting convicts on this thing for 7 to 8 hours at a time, this treadmill, and they're using the kinetic energy for other things that they could benefit from, water and pulling in water and things like that. But they used it to tire these convicts out and to basically calm them down. And it did both. They were on there for 7 to 8 hours at a time. They were climbing, I think they said anywhere from almost like 7,200 feet during that time. I mean, they were worn out. And they just went around and around for 7 to 8 hours at a time, nonstop. And eventually people got sick, people got hurt, and some people died. But it was originally, the treadmill that we know now was originally an instrument of torture. It was designed to get unruly convicts in line by wearing them out. Just, you want to talk? Well, then go ahead and talk on this. Or you want to fight? You go ahead and you can do this, burn all that energy out. That's essentially where the treadmill came from. Early 1800s instrument of torture. That's essentially what it was.
Some people
All
may
right.
argue it's still a torture device.
I agree with you. It is.
That's
yeah, it's all right. Anybody see that one?
Super glue.
Super glue. Who knows anything about this? Where do we think this came from and what it was for? We know what it's used for now. Just like we know the treadmill is used for now. Super glue, we know what it's used for now. What do we think? Even what really boosted into prominence is not even what we use it for now, but it had sort of 3 different iterations. It was first used for something that really never took off. And then it became used for something else that really brought it into prominence and carried it forward into being used as more things the way it's used now. What do we think its use was that boosted it into prominence? When do we think, what do we think about this object? What do you think people could have used this for that would surprise you?
Operations.
I was just about to say surgery.
Okay. Who else?
Coach, I'ma say war.
Okay. One more. Gotta have 3.
I'll come back just for the 3rd one, just for humor purposes. A teacher who got tired of their posters being on the floor when they came back in the classroom because of the humidity and the AC, and all the posters was on the floor. So we needed super glue.
Hey, I can understand that one. I've been there. I can understand that one. Okay. So both of you were right in the sense of war, surgery in the sense of to close something, to close a wound. So super glue in its original iteration was first used for sniper scopes. It was, and they were trying to make a clear sniper scope early in war and in the early 1900s. And it didn't work out. It just didn't work out for a lot of reasons. So about 15 years later, in about 56, mid 50s, late 50s, they brought this back up toward, and then moving forward, they brought this came back to be really popularized in the war, in Vietnam War, when soldiers were getting injured and they were trying to close these wounds. The medics started using super glue to close the wounds while they were on the battlefield, so that people wouldn't bleed out before they got to the hospital. So they were using it to close these wounds up, and people were able to get to the hospital, and this saved countless lives. Because a lot of people don't actually die on the battlefield. They die in transportation from the field to the hospital, because maybe they have to stay there too long, or it takes too long to get to where they're going. And there's no way on the battlefield to close up wounds. You can't be doing surgery or be out there stitching when everybody's out there capping and clapping, right? So they needed something quick to suture this wound, essentially. And you don't have heat, and you don't have a lot of other things. And so what they found was that super glue would adhere the skin well enough, long enough, so that they could close the wound and the person wouldn't bleed out necessarily until they could get them to the hospital. That's where super glue really made its name and made its mark. And then they realized they could start using it as a result for other things moving forward. But that's where that came from. Now, this last one, you guys don't know, obviously, but I'm on the fence with this one. Ooh, this was, do you guys want to know this one or not? This one is like, do you like scary movies, Halloween, horror?
Just bring it.
Just bring it.
Okay. Oh, is anybody objecting to this?
We don't know what we objecting to, so let's go.
We're ready.
All right. Okay. This one right here, boys. This one right here. This one right here is gonna hurt.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Chainsaw.
Feel that one. I already feel that. Straight no chasing.
Yeah, no.
Ouch.
Yeah. But
I have a whole different relationship with that word.
yeah, more than you know. Now, who thinks they know what this was actually created for? Not what you use it as today. Who thinks they know what this was actually created for? When you hear this one, you should just lie down on the ground right now. So that way, if you faint, you're not hurt. Because this one's gonna hurt. No, this is gonna hurt. I was telling you that.
So it must have been
Who
to
has somebody?
dismember bodies.
Say it again.
I said, I'm thinking to dismember bodies.
Yes, it did that, and it was used to do that as it became more. Yes, it was. Yes, it was. As it became more popular in its use, it went into that. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Job, Leslie, on the first go.
That was my.
So
That was pretty good. That's pretty good. But that's not it. We got two more guesses.
Origin doesn't mean the beginning.
Yes, like what did they create this for?
They didn't have to do with bodies.
I thought it was for surgery. Everything did was for surgery, but like I think it was bone, something with the bone to cut bones.
I think I know.
Yeah, that's true.
It's
One more.
something with
To
the body,
to
Lizzie.
butcher your meat.
It's birth.
No, it's with the birth.
Yeah.
The beginning.
This
right?
was used. This was used in labor. So back in the day before C-sections were common, every birth had to come out of the canal. Every child had to come out of the canal before C-sections were common. Every childbirth had to come out of the canal. If the pelvis, that bone area, was too small for the baby to come out of, they got to cut. That they can widen it out to get the child out.
I could have lived my life.
And it was
without
originally like a knife. It was originally like a chainsaw, but the original contraption was like a knife with all the prongs around it, like you would see in a chainsaw now. But it was a hand cranked. It was like pedaling a bike.
God.
Yeah, that's why I said this was gonna hurt.
Yeah.
But to actually realize that a chainsaw was invented, was actually created for childbirth, child labor, not for what it's used now and later iterations for what they realized they could use it for. It was originally invented and created for that. Yeah. So I'm just the messenger, but if you weren't awake before, I'm sure that helped.
I
Yeah.
gotta tell you, I'm really happy right now. I got big hips.
Hey, man, I was hurt. I said, what? Yeah, some of this stuff that I researched, you'd be amazed, but the internet is a beautiful place if you know how to use it. If you know how to do research and you know where you're going and where to go to find, you can find out some stuff that will blow your whole world apart. But yeah, so that was that. All right. Today's title. Secret Service. So, Secret Service as we know it. Who knows when that started and what it was started for? Who has an idea of when it was started and what it was started for?
I don't know, but I'm going to guess that it was started during slavery and in relation to slave trade.
Okay.
I know it was like something. I think. Dang, you make me feel like I'm in history class again. I know something with the Civil War. But
Okay.
it was with money. It was about money. I know it was like controlling with money, but I can't. Yeah.
Okay. Who else?
On the chat, Stacy put Kennedy era.
Kennedy era? Era. Is that what I mean?
Error. Oh, maybe era.
Okay. All right. So the Secret Service was started the Secret Service was started in 1865. Abraham Lincoln actually, on the morning of his assassination, signed the Secret Service into existence, essentially. I believe it was Amanda's voice who said money. The Secret Service originally was designed to stop counterfeiting. In the early days, counterfeiting was a big thing. 1/3 of all US currency was counterfeit, because you have to remember that each state was sovereign back in the day. California, well, even just before California, Illinois, or New York or Florida, each state was sovereign. So even though they were part of an entire union, they still had their own state rights. So they were making, a lot of them were making their own money, especially coins, before dollars really became what they are, what we would call them now. Coins were still the prevalent thing, because dollar is nothing, essentially a dollar is a unit of measurement, like gallon, quart, pint, things like that, ounce. That's what a dollar actually means. It's a unit of measurement. It represents something. So a dollar means, a dollar technically meant a dollar worth of gold and silver. That's what it really meant originally. But so the Secret Service was designed to stop counterfeiting, because like I said, well, 1/3 of all US money at the time, or what we would call US money at the time, was counterfeit. So it was designed to catch counterfeiters. Anybody know why Benjamin Franklin is on the $100 bill? Anybody have any idea? He was on the $100 bill because he was one of the first people tasked to start making what we call dollars, paper money, in the early colonies, paper money. He was one of the early founding fathers. That group believed that having American money, not British coins and British pounds and things like that, were important for the efficacy, for the survival, for the integrity of America to exist, to have its own actual money. So they started printing money. He was the head of it, essentially. He was the head of designing the dollars, because he came from a paper making background. His older brother, who he ran away from, Benjamin Franklin, was an indentured servant. He was an indenture. Back in the day, indentures were how people were sold. That's what we would call slaves. Those were actually, that's a whole nother history lesson. But the point is that he was an indenture, which you would call a slave. He was actually the word slave actually doesn't mean what we think it means originally. It means somebody working for a wage that's not necessarily as high as it could be if they were on equal terms with someone, but they were still working for a wage under a prescribed time, for a prescribed amount of time, like indentured servitude. That's why people call it slave wages. Slaves still got wages. We're just now using slave synonymously as the original word slave, as far as in this country, it was an employment term. It was not an actual color term. So not to digress too far, but point being is that he came from an environment where his older brother created the Boston Current. The Boston Current was the second newspaper in America, created in American history, in America, the Boston Current. His older brother was the owner of that. And when his older brother got in trouble for speaking out against the government, they took the newspaper away from him, and he, trying to be slick, gave it to his younger brother, Benjamin Franklin. Benjamin Franklin didn't like the way brother treated him a lot, so he basically left New England, and that's how he got to Philadelphia. But while he was running the paper, he learned how to make paper. He learned how to make a newspaper and paper. So money is just paper. So he learned how to make paper, how to use ink and things like that. So he was one of the first people tasked with making what we call dollar bills. Right. So that's how he did that. That's how he's done. That's why he's on there. He's like the founding father of what we call a dollar, of paper money. So, and he got that experience from running his brother's newspaper, the Boston Current. So the Secret Service was designed to stop counterfeiters from passing fake money, basically destroying the integrity of paper money, which had very little integrity at the beginning, just because people never really vibed with it and went with it. It was actually the only reason they really went with it at the beginning was because of convenience. It was better to have $1 in your pocket than $1 worth of gold and silver. It was obviously less heavy, right? So that is where that came from. In 1901, President McKinley got assassinated. That's not funny. Got assassinated, and Theodore Roosevelt was his vice president. So he rose up into being president. Once President McKinley got assassinated, the Secret Service was then put on the task of covering the president the way they do now. They now became their primary duty, then turned, well, it was first a secondary duty, but then over time it grew into becoming a primary duty, which was protecting the president. And even Theodore Roosevelt got shot and gave a 90-minute speech after it. He got shot and didn't go to the hospital until he finished his speech. But he got shot with a bullet right around, I think, in the chest area. His notebook or his speech in his book there, so it didn't penetrate all the way through. But he got hit pretty nice, but it didn't go all the way through. But it was enough for him to go to the hospital afterward. But he did a 90-minute speech with that after that actually happened. Anyway, but that is what the Secret Service was for. It was originally for money, to catch counterfeiters, and then after the assassination of a president, McKinley, when Theodore Roosevelt rose up, they decided to protect President different. They assigned that task to the Secret Service. That's what we know them as now, and that's what they do now. That's their prominent job. But historically, originally, it was to catch counterfeiters with money. Now, the Secret Service is designed to protect money and people, essentially. Both of these things, the people who the Secret Service protect, are what we would call, right? We would call them important. That's why it's being done. But the Secret Service is nothing but a bodyguard service, essentially. So people who think they're important, or people who other people are important, are also surrounded by their own Secret Service called essentially, because that's all they are bodyguards. But for the same reason, important. These people either think they're important, they hire them themselves, or somebody else thinks they're important and they hire them for them. Okay, so Secret Service. I don't know if any of you, just to use the story in another different context, I don't know if any of you remember that part in the Bible where Jesus gets, right before he gets taken into custody and the people are coming to get him, Simon Peter takes out his sword and slices the guy's ear. The guy's name is Malchus. He slices his ear, cuts his right ear off. And the character Jesus in there says, man, what you doing? Are you gonna take this role? If you're not, man, put your sword back up. It's all right. Just put your sword back up. So he puts his sword back up. But the disciples, one of his disciples became his bodyguard, his Secret Service. He became something to protect something that he felt was important. Okay. So we talked about this. We just gave you a little example of that. If you are in order to protect yourself, you need to get your own Secret Service. You need to create a system of protection for yourself. Not out of fear, out of wisdom. A system of protection for yourself. This Secret Service that I'm talking about, that all this before was all physical. The Secret Service that I'm talking about you getting, procuring, hiring, employing, deploying, applying, is a mental Secret Service. Secret Service is designed to protect. Not only stop something from happening to you, but stop it before it even happens to you. There's no good to have a bodyguard if you already got hit in the mouth. Right? A good one is designed to protect you before something ever even gets to you. One of the first prominent bodyguards, the guy's name, it'll come to me, but he believed that no one should get anywhere within 10 feet of the president, between 10 and 15 feet, 10 at the closest, 15 and out. And he always had his hand on his gun, always cocked, and he would sit there. He was actually the first Secret Service person on record to die for the president. And that was actually Theodore Roosevelt's body. That was in the Secret Service that protected Theodore Roosevelt. And it was actually by a freak accident. But the point is, he believed in distance. Yeah, distance. It was to protect something before it happens. Your mental secret service is designed to protect you before it happens. So, what mental secret service, what type of mental things can you employ and deploy for yourself in order to protect you? To protect you at any time, day or night. That's what the secret is. If you watch the presidents, doesn't matter where they're going. Even the presidents who aren't even president anymore have secret service. They don't maybe have as many, but they still have them. Right? So without me giving it away first, what do you think, what mental secret service can you apply? Can you employ? Can you deploy on your behalf to keep you safe, successful? Because you may want to go to a concert. You may want to go to the grocery store. You may want to go to your child's school or their game. You may want to go wherever you want to go. But if you are important, like those people were physically, there was secret service everywhere they went. Didn't matter where they go. There were no breaks or passes. Those secret service would sit there and watch the people cut food. They would the food that was cooked, if there was a bus taken, they would know what route it was taking. They would know what bus it was. They looked at everything. They planned everything to make sure that this whole thing was going to go off as planned. So what mental secret service can you hire for yourself? What is an example of that? What do we think we can use? What would be that, a mental secret service agent or agents? What would that look like? What would that be? How would you do that for yourself?
Boundaries.
I'm not
How
sure.
can you protect yourself mentally?
I'm not sure if you heard
A village?
Say it again.
A village?
A village?
Yes.
Boundaries.
Okay. Boundaries.
I
Okay.
say having a like mindful routine, like meditation in the mornings, meditation in the evenings, meditations before bed, just always having that mindful practice to help you stay in a certain state.
Okay. What else? Somebody said a village. What does that look like? What does a village look like? Is it a village?
Morning meetup is one of them.
Morning meetup. Okay. What does a morning meetup consist of? Who is meeting up?
Knowledge-based people interested in
Entrepreneurs.
improving
Okay. What's the key word in that sentence?
knowledge.
Nope.
I don't know.
Improving.
Say it again.
People.
People.
Oh.
People first, right? People first. There's no village if there's no people,
Right.
right?
Right.
There's no knowledge if there's no people, right? People. So, but people are physical. What do people represent mentally?
Unity.
Okay. Okay.
Council.
Say it again.
Council. At least for me,
Council.
my inner circle, my village, they represent council for me.
Mm.
Okay. So council is one thing. Council. That's a thing. That is a mental thing that you can use to protect you physically. Good counsel, like a lawyer. Okay. Counsel.
Physical
Okay.
support and mind exchange.
Okay. So let's say again in the book, that character Jesus had 12 disciples. All of them had names. And all their names meant something. All of them meant something. Secret Service, all those agents have names. And their names mean something. So, and all those people have names and their names mean something. So they mean something. Their names mean something. Council means something. So what mental things can you employ or deploy or apply mentally on your behalf to protect you physically in this world?
Can you repeat that, please?
Say it again.
Can you repeat that, the question?
So what things can you surround yourself with to protect you physically in the world when you go out, when you're waking up, when you're asleep? The Secret Service goes everywhere. The disciples pretty much went everywhere. But they all had names. They all had roles. They all had places. They were not all the same.
In the sense
Secret
of
Service.
community? How
Say
you
it again.
In the sense how we were talking about community?
Okay.
You mean like that? So like my thought was when you asked what does council represent, or the village, or the people, for lack of better words, my thought was different states of minds. So if what I'm thinking is we got to surround ourselves with like-minded people.
Remember, this is mental.
Oh,
It's not physical.
okay. Oh, let me think.
Oh, okay. So if it's mental, you have to tap into your own self and your own spirit and have people that are around you to remind you of that.
Your inner child.
Oh, okay.
Where does the word disciple come from?
Discipline.
Discipline. So the 12 disciples are what?
12 disciplines?
They're the 12 disciplines. The 12 disciplines of what? The 12 disciplines of what?
The mind?
Christ.
Of the mind. Christ is a state of mind. That's why it says, let that mind that's in Christ be also in you. It didn't say be like Christ. It said, let the mind, if you have the same mind, if somebody were to take their mind and put it in you, or you were to take your mind and put it in them, you would both act the same. In the sense of whatever they thought, if it was in your body, they would do whatever they would do just in your body, and vice versa. Right? That's why it says, let that mind that's in Christ be also in you. It's saying, if you think like this person, you'll act just like that person. So the 12 disciples are the 12 disciplines of mind, just like the 12 zodiac signs, the 12 cranial nerves. That's a whole nother situation, but they're talking about the aspects of mind. That's why I said each one of these disciples, their name means something. They all mean something because they're not just security. They're not just around. The Secret Service, every one of those agents has a name, and they all have a place where they stand. And they're all in charge of their own individual aspects of that detail. And what I'm saying to you is, so that's organized, just like the 12 disciples are organized. The 12 disciplines of mind, that's what the 12 disciples represent, the 12 aspects of mind. So what I'm saying to you is then, what disciples can you have? What aspects of mind can you have to protect yourself? So that you're safe day and night, wherever you go. Unity is not that has nothing to do with, that's outside of you. I'm talking about inside of you, in the sense of you're not depending on anyone else. I'm talking about you.
Awareness would be something, right? Then.
Okay, so I'm gonna give you an example. I'm gonna give you an example. Money, wealth, health, happiness, success, prosperity, abundance, wisdom, knowledge, understanding, joy, peace. That's 12. Those are my 12 disciples. Those are 12 things I say to myself all the time that I expect to protect me wherever I go. to interact, intervene, cut somebody's ear off, whatever's got to happen to keep me safe wherever I go. To, if there's a recession, I expect money to protect me from that. If there is COVID, I expect health to protect me from that. If it's raining all day and maybe it makes me feel sad, I expect joy to protect me from that. If it is, I have employed, I have applied, I have deployed these mental concepts to go before me, to stand with me, to go behind me. When you see the president, there's people in front, people on the side, people in the back, people on the roof, people on the grass, people in lawn chairs, people undercover. They're always looking out for this person in a variety of ways. Come get some of this if you want to. Come, you can catch these hands in this fade if you want to. Right? It's with you everywhere you go, day and night. These are the concepts of mind I want you to apply. Make up your own. Make up your own. I'm not telling, I didn't want to give you an example. I wanted us to be able to talk it out so that you have a better understanding. Right? I could just get on here for 2 hours and just tell you what to do, tell you what to think, tell you what to say, and then you do the best you can. But I want you to, that's why I have you ask questions. That's why we go back and forth. It takes a lot of time to do that. But I don't care about how much we say. I care about how much we understand. Right? And so what I'm saying to you is an important person. Who is that?
Yourself.
Did you say
Who
an
is that?
important person? Who is that?
Yes. Who is that?
Oh, yourself, your mind.
You. All of you are the president. All of you are Jesus. All of you are important people. And you need a security detail. You need bodyguards, not out of fear, out of wisdom, meaning you always have things that are always protecting you, providing for you, guiding you, directing you, leading you, always making sure you're right and you're upstanding and you're right standing. You have health that protects you from COVID and everything, cancer and all kind of other stuff. You have prosperity that protects you from a recession, right? You have peace that protects you from depression. You have joy that protects you from sadness. You have, it doesn't mean these things don't come up, but they don't get at you. You have these things deployed, employed, applied in your life as a constant. They're with you everywhere you go. This is your secret service. This is something that is designed to protect you and keep you safe at all times because you're important. Nobody important, just people don't just, my mom, that's my mom's thing, is like, she doesn't like people being able to walk up to her front door. She likes gates and barriers and things like that. She always said, I like people walking up to my front door. Being able to walk out, she likes the barrier first. Right? But people who have a sense of protection, a sense of importance, a sense of value, you don't want people just being able to run all up on you or run up in you before you have a chance to figure out what's going on. But that, whether that's with your money, whether that's with your health, whether that's with your relationships, your success, your mental health, your physical health, whether that's with your whatever else it is.
And then he's going to visit with grandma for.
I want you all to hire a Secret Service detail. What is it that you can put out before you, that trails behind you, that walks with you? Peace, health, happiness, success, joy, prosperity, abundance, wisdom, knowledge, understanding, victory, whatever it is for you. You decide who you hire and how much you hire. But you decide what it takes for you to be successful in the world, day and night, wherever you go, to know that you're always healthy. You're always ready. You're always right. You're always in good standing. Does that make sense?
No, what does that look like?
I'm sorry?
That doesn't make sense. What does that look like? How do you do that? How does that start?
Perfect. Great question. So I'll use myself for example again. For example, again, when I said, what is it in life that I want to either, I'll use the words, be protected from, or feel safe about, or feel safe in? What is it that I want to feel? What is it I need to be able to walk down the street and feel safe? What is it I need to go to sleep with and feel safe? What is it, or what do I need to feel when I go to the grocery store? What do I need to feel in my day-to-day life that's going to allow me to feel the way I want to feel? Those are all personal things for everyone. For me, I said, one of the Secret Service agents I want is money. I feel better when I have it. I don't feel as good when I don't, in theory, if I'm talking about on a day-to-day basis, right? What's another thing? I want to feel health. If I watch the news and there's COVID, swine flu, bird flu, there's the regular flu season, then there's, okay, I need to hire health. Okay, if there is storms, fires in California, I mean, we burning up all the time. There's something on fire constantly. I don't even know how there's any trees or grass left. There's something burning constantly throughout the summer for sure. But whether it's earthquakes, fires, floods, storms, or whatever else it is, I say, okay, well, I want peace, or I want security. I want safety. I'm going to hire this concept. I'm going to hire this feeling in order to roll with me, to walk with me, to be with me when I'm asleep, to be with me, to trail behind me, to walk in front of me, to always be a part of my experience and my existence. So whatever those values are to me, those are the attributes I hire. So like I said, for me, money, wealth, health, happiness, success, prosperity, abundance, wisdom, knowledge, understanding, joy, peace. Those are just mine. Those are just examples. Those are just mine. But those are things that I said, I didn't come up with 12 all at once. First, I started with money, wealth, health, happiness, and prosperity. Then I said, maybe a couple weeks, months later, I was like, let me get some, joy and abundance here, or let me get some, and I started adding to my detail. Every time I felt like something was missing, like, what do I wish I could feel when I go here, or when I wake up in the morning, or in my life on a day-to-day basis? What is it? I would add something to my detail. And so now that I've acquired these things, I expect these things to guard me, to guide me, to lead me, to protect me wherever I go. These are the attributes of mine that I have employed, applied, and deployed mentally to have an effect on me physically. So that my health is good, so that my money is good, so that my relationships are good, so that my this or that or this, whatever things I've hired on my behalf to do for me. So you can hire whichever ones you want for you. What is it you want to feel on a day-to-day basis? What did you want to feel when you go into the bank, or when you're driving down the freeway, or when you're waking up to go to work, or when you're on the way home from work, or when you're in the house, or when you're in your neighborhood? What is it you want to feel on a day-to-day basis? On a day-to-day basis. They're just constant, they are mental expectations that you have of your life and of your experience. People hire bodyguards because they expect them to do something. They're not hoping, they're not wishing, they're expecting. So I hired the bodyguards, I hired my detail because I'm expecting money to do something, health to do something, wisdom to do something, knowledge to do something. I'm not expecting anybody to be asleep on the job. I'm not expecting anybody to call in sick. I'm not expecting anybody to forget. I'm expecting everybody to do their job, to be at their post, on their post. My security detail has nothing to do with someone else's. Whom I've hired has nothing to do with you or her or him or it. It only has to do with me. I hire who I wanted. Some people may hire one person. Some people may hire 50 people. Kim Jong-un, the guy from the dictator in North Korea, has 100,000 people assigned to him. Not all physically at one time, but on call at all times. 100,000. The US president is not even in the top 3 of people assigned to their protection. The dictator from North Korea has 100,000. So you have to do whatever makes you feel the way you want to feel. But my point is that you can always live physically the way you want to, but that starts mentally. That starts assuming your health, assuming your wealth, assuming your success, assuming your prosperity or your wisdom or your knowledge. That starts with hiring some people, hiring some thought, some expectation, putting some people on the payroll. Now, your question kind of leads me into the next step. How do you pay these people? Anybody have any idea? How do you pay these people?
Doesn't it depend on their need?
Say it again.
Doesn't it depend on their need and their worth?
Their need?
And their worth.
Their worth, it doesn't matter what they need. You're not paying them in celery and hot dogs. They want money, right?
Some,
right?
Some people.
So if the Secret Service agents out there, what else you paying them with?
Money.
There we go, right? Money, but you said their worth. That's true too. But that's going to be largely dictated in some form of financial compensation, right? So yes, so then what is money in this mentality? That's physical. So then how do you pay these mental agents you've hired? How do you pay all these bodyguards and this detail that you have that's ensuring your money or your health or whatever it is that whomever you hired, how do you pay them?
Well, Jesus paid people with food.
Okay, well,
gratitude.
Those were physical. Yeah, those were physical. Even then, that was still physical. How do you pay these mental people you've hired to protect you? Because this is mentally.
Meditate.
Gratitude.
We both said gratitude.
Gratitude.
Ooh.
Gratitude. Gratitude. Gratitude.
I'm thinking about not really gratitude, but most people follow you because they have an internal mental to be like you.
It depends on what you're doing. It depends on what you're doing. If you're the president, maybe people do, but most people are just working. They just want to get paid. And if you pay them well, they're happy because they have their own aspirations for life. I
don't think so. Not all the time. You can pay somebody good money and they still don't mentally protect and serve. They get the knowledge and they leave.
That is a reflection of you, not them.
How?
Because you haven't set the expectation. You hired improperly. I was talking to my mom about this yesterday. My mom will tell you, oh yeah, my mom gets this smoke every morning at 6 o'clock. She will tell you. And I'll give you a prime example. If you have wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, they're protecting you. So that means they're going with you everywhere you go. That means on the interview, that means whom you're talking to, and they're going to protect you. They're not going to let somebody get in that shouldn't get in. So your expectation is, right? That expectation is, whoever I'm hiring is perfect for me. I'll give you an example of my business. So when I tell people, hey, describe your business to me, describe your relationship with your customer. A lot of people don't understand when I say that. So I'll give you an example of what I say to myself. I'll say, or about my business, myself, I'll say something to the effect of, I have infinite clients. I have infinite clients who are matches made in heaven. They're perfect. Me for them for me. Right? They love what I have to offer. They love to pay me what I want. And they love to refer others who do the same. Right? They're matches made in heaven. When you have a business, who comes to your business and who doesn't come are both signs of your success. I was telling several people this. If you own 7-Eleven and 10 people walk in, they're all your customers at first. But if 5 people buy, you're happy. If the other 5 people steal, now you're mad. Right? So when people are first walking in, you don't know who's going to do what, but you call them all the same thing until you see what they do afterward. But what I did was I say, all of my clients are matches made in heaven. That means the people who come are and the people who don't are. It's a combination of who comes and who is prevented from coming. Right? Because if I just let everybody in, the 5 people who bought make me happy. The 5 people who don't, the 5 people who steal just made me more mad than the people who bought something made me happy. So the success of your business is a combination of who comes and who doesn't. And when you have already deployed and decided what your outcome is going to be from the beginning, then that is what is going to be in the end, because I call the end from the beginning. I already decided that who I hired was going to be perfect because that was my intention from the beginning. I didn't hire them and hope it worked out. I hired them with the intention of it already being that, with the assumption of it already being that. And what does it say? According to your faith, be it unto you. So my faith, my assumption, my expectation is everyone I hire works out for me and I for them. That is mutually beneficial. See, I've already hired my detail. But once you get in this, once you're in the White House and you're up in the chambers, there's a problem now. Once you let somebody get past the gates, it's a problem now. Once you hire somebody and hope they work out, you're already behind.
So,
right? So you hire with the proper state of mind from the beginning. What is it your end is? What is it you want? What are you hiring this person for? What do you want to get from it? That is the thought you put in your mind, and you hire with that thought so that it will show you who that person is, because that hire is a reflection of you. They didn't hire themselves, you hired them. So in what state of mind were you hiring? What state of mind were you looking at this person when you were talking to them and they were talking to you?
So Jojo
right?
asked in the chat, she said wisdom, knowledge, and there was a third, understanding. Thank you.
Right. So that's my whole point. My whole point is that if you, part of your security detail stops stuff from happening. It stops it from happening can't stop the rain, can't stop maybe somebody from wanting to get at you. It can't stop, but what does it say? No weapon formed against you will prosper. Didn't say it wasn't formed. Didn't say it doesn't rain. Didn't say people aren't crazy. That you're not out here trying to save the world. You have to save your world first. You have to handle and manage you first. So then what is the intention that you're living with? So I hire the security detail with that intention and say every person I hire is perfect. Every person is perfect for me and perfect for them, right? For them, like they get what they want, I get what I want. But I don't get what I want if you don't show up to work, if you're late, if you're asleep, if you're complaining all the time. You don't get what you want if I'm underpaying you, and I'm underpaying you because I'm cheap or I'm scared or I'm penurious or I'm whatever else it is, right? That doesn't work for either one of us. So a lot of us are doing things in backwards order. We're putting labor before light. We're trying to do something and then trying to outthink the poor decision we made because we weren't thinking properly before we made the decision. We are making decisions in improper thought, trying to make it work out. Right? Right. So that's the point. So saying all that to say, you say how things are going to be. So when I was talking to my mom, we were talking, I was like, wait a minute, hold on. Wait, right? Has anybody ever had a building? Anybody ever talked to their building? Anybody ever talk to their money? Anybody have any, it's your building, just like it's your arm, it's your money, just like it's your blood pressure. If you don't talk to it, who's going to do it? If you don't have an idea or a concept of how it should be working for you, then you leave it up to anyone and everyone else. Then when your blood pressure is high, your building's falling apart, your customers don't pay you, your this or that doesn't happen, then you want to be mad. But you have no concept of success before it happens. A Secret Service stops things from happening before they happen. If they already happen, it's too late. You already get hit, it's too late. You already get shot, it's too late. Even if they save you afterward, you still have the experience you didn't want to have, right? So what we're trying to do is what they say, an ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure. An ounce of thought is better than a pound of flesh. So from the beginning, talk your day. We talked about that before, ordering your day. Wake up and say, not wake up and see. We're behind too much. We're like kids in high school doing homework at the last minute. We're waking up, praying at the last minute. Waking up, saying over ourselves and over our day at the last minute. We're waking up, hoping things work out at the last minute, instead of working them out from the beginning, calling your end from the beginning. I know what you have need of before you ask. God's early, humanity's late. So it's to get you to act like who you really are. Be early. The early bird gets the worm. The late person gets nothing but traffic and a hard time. You don't get anything, right? To be ahead of what's going on. All right. That makes sense? Wonderful. All right. Anybody have anything they want to say or questions before we move on?
Looks clear. Looks clear. I don't know if you heard me.
No, okay. Which leads us right into this next thing. Anybody read it? Mental diet. The word diet does not mean what you don't eat. It means what you eat. What's your diet like? It means what are you eating? Not what you're not eating. It's not saying what you're restricting. It's saying what are you putting in your mouth? That is your diet. Your mental diet is what are you putting in your mind? What thoughts and beliefs and feelings are you entertaining that is having a physical effect on you, just like the food putting in your body does, that you put in your body does. We talked about it earlier before this call came on. Talking to ourselves. Another word for that other people call it, inner conversations. These are involuntary. These are happening constantly. You are constantly talking to yourself. Sometimes you're aware, sometimes you're not. Sometimes you do it and then you become aware. Sometimes you're doing it and you're not aware, but you're always doing it. You're always conversing with the self of you. Yourself, the self of you. Always. Always. And if you ever would stop to listen, to actually hear what you're saying to yourself, it'd be like a mirror. You'd have a much better understanding of what's going on in your world outside.
What's that?
It's a reflection of those inner conversations. They are a lot of times, probably 95% of the time, your assumptions spoken out loud. These are your assumptions speaking out loud. These are things that you're just saying to yourself on a regular basis. What you think about, it's gonna rain. Oh shoot. And man, my leg starts hurting when it rains. Oh, it's hot. Oh man, when it gets hot, my asthma starts acting up. Oh, it's dust. Oh man, there's a lot of pollen coming out. My algae's going to act up. Those are inner conversations. Those are your assumptions spoken out loud. Those are things that you're saying within yourself that have a physical effect. But we're constantly talking to ourselves, so we're not always aware of what we're saying. So then we're not able to match up our outer world with our inner conversations, but our outer world is a physical reflection of our inner conversations. Your physical world, your physical experience, not the world. The world is a combination of all of us, of humanity, all of us. Your world is you, pushed out. Your inner self being played out. That is your world. Your physical world is a physical reflection of your inner conversations, of what you are thinking, feeling, and believing to be true on a consistent, regular, routine basis, aka your beliefs, your assumptions. Everything that you are physically looking at is your world pushed out, what you are thinking, feeling, and saying to yourself on a regular basis. So, just like we have a physical diet, we need a mental one. What is it we're saying? Is what we're saying beneficial? Is what we are saying something we want to see? And are we saying it enough to see it, for it to become a part of our world? Everything that you see, you have said enough for it to be part of your world. You have thought enough, you have felt enough, you have accepted it, no matter how you got it. Whether it was your own idea or someone else's idea, you accept it. Nothing becomes a part of your physical world until you accept it. Whether it's somebody else said it to you and you believed it right away because of love or of deference or of power or of whatever else it is. Or whether it's something you just decided to cook up yourself. But nothing comes into your physical world without that, until that happens. So that means what you are accepting, whether it's something given to you or that self-created, that whatever that is, that's what it's going to be. So when what is that? What is that? We need to take stock and inventory of what that is. What are we saying? What are our inner conversations like? What are we talking about? What are we thinking about? What are we saying about? What are we believing about, assuming about? What is that? A lot of us are not aware of what that is. Stop, sit down, get quiet for a minute. What's going on inside? What's going on in there? If you don't know, take a look outside. It's showing you it's your mirror. It's showing you what's going on inside. It's showing you what's going on inside. That's why when you go to the doctor and they take your blood pressure, they can tell you what it is. They're using something from the outside to look in because they know that everything is created in. And whatever's going on in, they just use that to read on the outside. The outside is not creative, it's only reflective. You are the inside is the only creator. You are the only creator. Everything else is created. That means your success and your problems, your health and your lack of it, your wealth and your poverty. All those are self-created. From the inside out, from the above to the below. Right? So we have inner conversations daily. Whatever's going on, whatever we are conversing with ourselves about, over, whatever we're saying on the inside to ourselves, that's what's coming out or already out. They're either the movie or the movie trailer. So we have to be mindful and aware of what that is. Your mental diet, the conversations you're having, whatever these ingredients are, whatever your thoughts and feelings, all those things are making your world. Just like ingredients make food. If you want to change the way something tastes or looks or feels, you have to change the ingredients, what it's comprised of, what it's made up of. If you want to change your physical world, you have to change the ingredients. You have to change what you are thinking, what you are saying, what you're feeling, believing, what your assumptions are about whatever it is you want to change, whatever area of life you want to change, or your life as a whole. Your thoughts and feelings and beliefs are just ingredients being cooked up to make a physical thing in your world. What is your mental diet? What's in there? What are the ingredients in there? Taking control of your mind and your thoughts are not easy. It is the hardest work in the world to do, to be able to think what you want to think and not have the world dictate to you what your thoughts are. For you to be able to decide, I'm always healthy. For you to be able to decide that everything I set my hand to prospers. For you to be able to decide that whatever it is you want to decide and not have the world dictate to you what your decisions are, what your emotions are, what your feelings are. Being grown and being in control are two different things. And I would venture to say all of us are grown, but not all of us are in control. Because when we give our mind away to any and everything, to everyone else's thought, everyone else's feeling, everyone else's beliefs, everyone else's emotions and opinions, you're just grown, but you're not in control. You don't have any say in your own world, in your own mind. That is your world. You have to decide what ingredients, what is it you're stocking in the cabinet of your mind, in the refrigerator of your mind. What do you have in there? What are you eating on? What are you chewing on? What are you drinking on? What is it? We can't just throw up our hands and say, oh, it doesn't matter. Oh, I just can't do it. You wouldn't just say, oh God, you know, there's no milk left for my cereal. I'm just gonna put some salt in it. You wouldn't just throw up your hands and accept anything. You can't just throw up your hands and just think anything. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work. If you want what you want, then you have to be willing to think like the person who has it. That's how they got it. And that's how they're going to keep it. The garden doesn't stay, like we talked about last week, the garden doesn't stay beautiful just because you garden, because you did it one time. No one stays full because they ate once. No one stays clean because they bathed once. It's a lifestyle. It's a day-to-day thing. Every day. You have to keep control of your mind every day of what you're allowing in it, on it, around it, just like food. Just like food, like people. Food, thoughts, and people will all make you sick or healthy. All three of them will do the same thing. What you eat, what you think, and who you're around on a regular basis contributes to your health or the lack thereof. Individually and collectively. What you're choosing. When we go into a grocery store, we just don't have to be afraid of food. Just don't buy what you don't want to eat. When there's 1,000 thoughts, you have what do they say? Was it 70,000 thousand thoughts a day? You don't have to be afraid of them. Just don't buy the food. Don't buy the thought. Don't entertain the thought that doesn't work for you. People, you don't have to be afraid of them. You just walk right by them if they're not your friend or you don't know them. It's all these things require a purchase or to entertain them. Purchase or entertainment. They have to become a part of your world consistently. That is what is having an effect on your life. Just walking by some grapes, not going to help or hurt. Thoughts going through your mind, not going to help or hurt. People walking by you on the street are not going to help or hurt. Only the ones you stop and interact with. Only the ones that you make a part of your life, a part of your day, that you bring into your inner sanctum, into your house, into your mind and entertain. Talk about, argue with, fight with, laugh with. Doesn't matter which one you do. They become a part of your life when you arrest them, when you stop them from going by, when you stop going by, when you stop moving to have an interaction. And the longer they are, they go from stranger to friend, just like you go from a visitor to a resident. Just like something goes from a thought to a belief. A belief is nothing but a thought that you have eventually accepted, whether it's immediately or in the first minute, 5 minutes, but it's a thought you've accepted. You thought it either made sense enough for you right now to accept it, or enough time went by repeatedly that you eventually accepted it. But a belief is nothing but a thought you accepted. Your choice is to choose. Your choice is to choose what it is you believe. What it is that you're going to think about long enough or going to accept, whether it's in 1 minute, 1 second, or 1 day, or 1 hour, or a decade, to the point that you're going to believe it. Your thoughts have to become, like I said, either purchase or entertain. That means they have to be held long enough to become a belief. You can't just smell a grape and get sick or healthy. You can't just walk by a person and it's the interaction you have. It's when this thing becomes a stationary part of your existence with you. You have to figure out which ones are going to work for you. What food works for you? What thoughts work for you? What people work for you? When you're thinking about a diet, a diet does not include everything. There's things that you just wouldn't eat or wouldn't drink. That means a mental diet doesn't include every thought that you ever have. Some you have to walk by, some you have to let go, some you may have to deal with. and say, I'm going to change that. I don't want that. Or I'm just going to get rid of it. That no longer serves me. That no longer works for me. It's not necessary or appropriate or helpful. But food, thoughts, and people will make you healthy or make you sick. They all affect you. So you have to be wise about what you entertain and who you entertain in these areas. Food, thought, people. You can control these three, you win. Meaning by making good decisions in these areas for you. Everybody's different. Some people like different foods. Some people entertain different thoughts, and some people like different types of people. But pick the ones that are best for you. But all of these, food, thought, people, all of these reflect you. The ones you entertain and purchase are reflections of you. The ones you decide to bring in, to entertain, to purchase, those are all reflections of you. If they're working, great. If they're not, you need to change either your behavior or your mind. It's not on you or up to you to change other people in that respect. It's on you to change yourself and decide what it is you want to do, to be, to have, and to start thinking like that person. You don't go through the grocery store and throw all the stuff out that you don't like. That's not for you. It's for someone else. The thoughts you like, the thoughts that go through your mind that you don't like, that's not for you. That's for someone else. Let somebody else have that thought. The people that you don't get along with or that just aren't your cup of tea, they're not for you. They're for someone else. Everything you dislike, somebody loves. It's just not for you. You find what you love and you'll be fine. There's more than enough of what you love to have whatever it is you want. Everybody understand that? Anybody have any questions, comments, or anything about that?
It's a great reminder to me. Perfect timing. Only because I've kind of found myself trying to say things out loud, but more to like other people to kind of have this mental diet, like, oh no, don't believe that is da 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 da. But like, I think what I'm getting out of this more so is it's the reminder that I don't need to say it to anyone. I need to say it to myself, because everything's going to come out of that. First me, then reflection of everyone else. So I love the timing and my synchronicity in my week. So thank you.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Anyone else?
I want to say thank you. I love the fact that you were saying that what's on the inside, we correct what's on the inside, everyone's going to see it on the outside. Yeah, that was just a nice aha moment for me. Thank you.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Thank you. Very, very good.
Wonderful. Good, good, good. I'm glad it's sinking in for us all.
Coach, I like the way that you started it off with that whole diet. Diet isn't what you're restricting. Diet is pretty much all of what you're taking in. It's what you eat and you drink. That's just specifically what it is. I like that you brought that into perspective before we dove into all the quote unquote meat and potatoes of what you were really getting at when it came to our thought process and our mental diet. So I really like that aspect.
Wonderful. Thank you. Wonderful. Good, good, good. I'm glad to hear that we're getting it so we can apply it. Good, good, good. Good, good, good. Okay. Everybody see this?
Yes.
Reactivity versus response. I could also say
Reaction.
Yeah,
Look
yeah,
at
I
your
was
hand.
gonna put that on, but I'll say,
Wash your hands.
okay. Reaction versus response. When you have physically, when you're physically on a diet, meaning like when you physically now are very aware of what you eat and what you, not what you don't, just what you eat. This is what I do. When you are honed in on who you are, when you are honed in on what's happening, you start to see the difference between reaction and response. Right? Reaction is essentially, it's a reaction. It is what you do as a result of something happening that you didn't necessarily start or have anything to do with, but you're just going to give back what you got. You're just reacting. You're just doing it over. You're just giving back what you got. A response is a choice to give back or not. What you give back or don't. How much you give back. It is a choice. You're making a choice on how to deal with something that happened. This one, the first reaction is just giving back. It's just giving back with no thought. You're not really choosing purposely. Or better yet, purposefully. You're just giving back what you got. Like throwing a ball against a wall. Goes up, comes back. That's it. It just comes back because it first went out. It went down because it first went up. It's just a reaction. A response is, the difference is now I am going to consciously, a response is I'm making a conscious choice. I'm deciding what it is I'm going to do about something. Something happened, but I'm going to decide what I'm going to do about it. I'm not going to just react. I'm not just going to go back because something came in and I go back. Something came in and I'm going to decide what I do with it. What I do with it, if I don't, when I do it, when I don't, how long. I'm going to decide. That's why response turns into, reaction turns into activity. It's still just an action. Response turns into responsibility. Greater response ability. The ability to respond. It means you have developed an ability to respond. You actually have developed the ability within yourself to respond. The ability within yourself to consciously choose how you are going to deal with something that happened. That is not the same thing as a reaction or reactivity or just activity, just something moving around. The ability to calculate, how am I going to deal with something? Those come from you mentally being in shape. From you mentally having a diet that is good for your performance. What you're eating works for you. What you're thinking works for you. What you're listening, what you're feeling, what you're believing, all of those things are working for you so that you can perform, so that you can ably respond. Not just react, not just act, not just a physical action, not just movement, but calculated movement or calculated non-movement. I say this all the time, like winning goes to the thinker. The person who thinks best wins. Thinking is often misunderstood because we have been conditioned as humans to value physical. everything. So we value somebody running around, we think they're working hard. We value somebody finishing first on the test, we think they're the smartest, when we're immature, when we don't know better. But when you know better, you realize the thinkers are the wealthiest people. They're the ones doing the least amount of physical work. Steph Curry out here in the Bay Area, I think he makes almost 50 million a year. He's working for his money, but if the owner can give him 50 million and have to pay for the arena, have to pay for all of the support staff and all the other players, how much money do you think they're making? And they're not running around. The thinker's always going to make more money than the doer. Always, always and forever. But we value the doer because we value physical things and because we can see them. And we've been conditioned to think that if somebody looks like, I had a college teammate, he won, what was it, most inspirational or something like that, 2 years in a row. And he was the biggest fake I think I've almost ever seen in person or on TV. He was like a novella to the 100th power. And he would grunt and groan and make all these faces and go back to the locker room and be laughing his butt off, knowing he wasn't almost trying, but got the award 2 years in a row because he made it look like something. So we value what things look like more than what things are like. We have to get to what is something really? What should I do about this really? This is where your mental diet comes in. This is where your security comes in. Because when something happens, it's different when you know you have help versus when you don't. It's different when you know you have money versus when you don't. It's different when you know you're healthy. When you cough and you know you're healthy, you just say, oh man, something got in my throat, or oh man, I coughed. If you know you're sick or you believe it's flu season, you cough, now you think, oh, here it comes. When you have security, what happens to you, your perception, your perspective of that, the way you perceive that is different when you're in one state of mind versus another. When you know you have security, you know you're safe wherever you go. You know everybody can catch this fade in these hands whenever it's time. Or in this case, some of these bullets, if it had to be. But you know you're safe everywhere you go. That's why you go. And so when you've hired your mental security, when you have your mental diet, you have purchased food that you know is good for you, that is going to allow you to perform the way you want to perform in life, and you have the security around you, and you have your diet on right, what can't you do? What don't you do? Where can't you go? When aren't you safe? Where aren't you safe? I mean, Americans traveling are probably some of the most hated people in the world until they get to know you. Because of what they see on TV, because of how Americans act toward people when they go places, with all the ridiculous behavior we have when we go other places. But yeah, we can go almost anywhere. Because one thing America has that no other country wants to deal with is the military. That's it. If America didn't have the military it had, there'd be a lot of other things going on, for as much as America messes with everyone else. But it has the mightiest military by far. It spends the most military per capita. It's not even close to be close. That's why we're able to get away with certain things that we shouldn't, essentially and honestly. But that's why. But my whole point is that when you have security, you can move in ways that other people who can't. When you have that mental security, you can do things in life that other people who can't. When you have your health with you, when you have wisdom and knowledge and understanding with you, when you have joy and peace with you, when you have prosperity and abundance with you, when you have wealth and health and riches with you, when you have all the things, when you have that security detail with you, you can move anywhere you want, any way you want, because you know you're always safe day and night wherever you go. When you have your mental diet on right, when you have a series of thoughts and feelings and beliefs that you ascribe to, that you prescribe to yourself as your daily medicine, that keeps you healthy and happy and safe, and on a daily basis, there's nothing that can happen to you. You're always winning. You have the victory in all things. Everything you set your hand to prospers. Every place the sole of your foot treads upon, I will give you. That's what all this stuff is for. That's what all this stuff is meaning. It's for you to take control of your mind so that you can take control of your life, because the physical world that you call your life is a reflection of your mind. It's not really a reflection of your behind, honestly. It's not a reflection of your physicality. Your physicality is a reflection of your mind. There's not a reflection of physicality. Nobody works so hard they got an extra hour. They got 25 hours as a bonus, as some kind of rebate. Nobody gets more time. Nobody gets more minutes. Nobody gets more seconds. There's only so much you can do. You live in a finite being, in a finite body. It's a finite amount of energy. So in order to progress and advance most effectively and efficiently, you have to think well and think properly. That's what this is about. Setting those agents out in front of you. Some are walking with you. Some are trailing you. Some are in the bushes. Some are on the building, protecting you from everything. War, famine, drought, recession, depression, COVID, and all kinds of tornadoes and hurricanes, racism, sexism, all the different things that are going on in the physical world. You set these agents out before you so that everywhere you go, you're safe. From this, from that, from this, from that, from this. You just set them out in wisdom, not fear. And wisdom. Just like you cross the street in wisdom when you're mature, not fear. None of this stuff is because you're afraid of being sick, afraid of being poor, afraid of being hurt, none of this is because of that. All this is because of wisdom, because you realize you have the option and the opportunity. You have the resource and the responsibility to govern yourself. And why shouldn't you protect yourself? Why shouldn't you have a detail? Why shouldn't you have certain thoughts in your mind that you know you're safe because of, you're protected because of, that you're successful because of? These are expectations. These people represent expectations. These are the village of people that raise you. Because you are important. You are important. Just like any president, like anyone else who thinks they're important, you are important. Establish a detail so that you're safe everywhere you go all the time. You're successful everywhere you go all the time. You have peace and joy everywhere you go all the time. But I want you to start doing these as proactively. You don't get shot at and then say, man, I better get somebody. You don't let people break in your house and then be like, man, I better lock the door. Right? All the time. This is a lifestyle. The way you think is a lifestyle. And how do you know how you're living? Look around. That's how you're living. And if you want that to be upgraded or expanded or improved or whatever else it is, then you add some people onto your detail. You start adding certain food to your diet. Maybe you start eliminating certain food from your diet. You start adding certain thoughts to your mind. Maybe eliminating others from your mind. It's not restriction, it is precision. This thought is for this. This security person is for that. This is for that. This is for that. This is for this. This is for that. Like detailing a home, decorating a home. You put everything in its proper place for it to look good, smell good, feel good, be inviting to you and to whomever comes in. Does that make sense to everyone?
Yes. Elisa put yes in the chat. Again, it was perfect timing for me personally, so awesome. Thank you.
Okay. Most of us on here can relate, but if you can't, because you're not physically one yet, you may be, but you'll get it anyway. You guiding and guarding your mind.
Oh, I think someone was gonna say something.
Yes.
Coach Lucky, it's Elisa. I'm having like a moment right now because what you're saying is so true. It's like when I look at my life, everything that's been in my mind that I did not believe in myself, I can see it in my everyday aspect. I can see it in my kids. Like, so you're taking my mind through a 360 in my life and the friends that I have, the places I go, the food I eat. So I really appreciate this moment. I'm quiet over here, but you actually have me doing like an outer body experience right now to see what I need to correct to get the lifestyle that I know I deserve. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
It's my honor and pleasure. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And that's why we're all here, because we all want something. We all want something. And it doesn't mean one as in need, like a lack, but we all want something. You don't have to, something doesn't have to be bad for it to be good, or good for it to be great, or great for it to be better. You don't have to be poor to appreciate being wealthy. You don't have to, we're not here just because we're begging and pleading because we're all destitute, right? And indolent and indigent. That's not why we're here. We're here because we're starting to wake up. And we're starting to realize, hey, wait a minute, there's more to this than what I knew or what I thought or what I was told. And to your point, we're all waking up and saying, wait a minute. Oh, okay, now I can kind of see how this is fitting a little bit. Now I start to understand a little bit better what's going on. So now I can change it. I can change it, which leads me right into this next point. This is literally like parenting. It is developing your mind is like developing a child. It already has it comes with certain natural functions and features and abilities, right? But you have to hone them and skill them and make yourself acquainted with them. You have to, just like having a relationship with your child, you have to, my mom used to always, she still tells me, don't let anyone know your children better than you. How many people can say they know their mind better than anyone else? How many people can say they know really what they're thinking on a regular routine basis? How many people can say, just like you said, I'm doing a 360-degree view, I'm taking stock and inventory. If most people do that, they'd realize they were hoarders. They'd realize they were living in a haunted house. They'd realize there was some certain places that were just empty that should be full, right? A lot of our mind is not what we think it is, because we mean it to be, but that doesn't mean that's what it is. And we have to take our mind by the hand, almost like we do with our children. We have to take them by the hand and raise them. Sit down with them, talk to them, hold their hand when they're crossing the street, tell them not to get near the hot stove, teach them how to read, teach them how to write, in the sense of introduce certain things to them so that they can grow up. And when they get old, they won't depart from it. When you spend time with your thoughts and you realize what you're thinking, you start revamping your diet. When you start setting out security in front of you so that you're always feeling good and you're always feeling safe and peaceful, because you know you have protection, you know you're protected, because you have decided what your detail look like. And like, we didn't really get into it too much, but how do you pay them? By talking to them. Hey man, hey, I appreciate you guys. Hey, thank you so much. Thank you, money, for always being there for me. Thank you for every time I use my money. It meets the need, exceeds the needs, and provides leftovers, and comes back to me multiplied. I always have more after than when I used it, right? Thank you, success. Everything I set my hand to prospers. Thank you. I always have everything I set my hand to prospers. My leaf is always green. My tree never ceases to bear fruit. Thank you, health. I'm always in good health. I always feel good. I always sleep well and wake up feeling re-energized, reinvigorated. I always feel motivated and focused. You start talking to yourself these aspects of you. These are aspects of you. Your money is an aspect of you. Your health is an aspect of you. Your joy, your peace, all of these things are aspect of you. Talk to it. You're talking to you. This is how you pay them. This is what I meant by gratitude. It just means you can feel the feeling when you talk. You're like, hey, man, I'm always in good health. Thank you, health, for always taking care of me. Thank you for always making me feel energized and youthful. Thank you for always giving me more energy that I need than my day requires. Thank you, peace, for always keeping me peaceful. Thank you for always giving me your peace, which passes all understanding, that guards my heart and my mind. Thank you, victory, for always being here with me. Thank you that I always have the victory in all things. Right? Thank you, health. Thank you that I'm always healthy. Right? All these different things. You start talking to them, that's payment. You can feel it. That's payment. And you'll see how your expectation of these things and your awareness of these things, because of that, you'll see how they expand in your life. You'll see how they start working overtime. You see how people come in and just check on you even on their off day. You see how, so to speak, you start to see how these aspects of your mind start to grow and increase. You see how one of them will take their knife out and cut somebody's ear off. Jesus didn't do it. He told him to put it away. But that aspect of his mind was ready to ride right then. Cassie said, man, don't touch him. Leave him alone. I don't care what you thought you could do. Not today. But that is, peace will do that for you. Joy will do that for you in its own way. Peace doesn't do what money does. Money doesn't do what health does. Health doesn't do what joy. They all do their own thing, but you put them together on your whole detail. They're all designed to protect you, provide for you, guide you, lead you, guard you. That's what they're there for. And you put them out. They're all aspects of you. That's how you pay them. The conversations of joy and of happiness you have because of their presence in your life. Man, I'm out here winning. Man, Victory, hey, appreciate you, bro. I'm out here winning. Appreciate you, girl. We out here cooking. Success, I appreciate you. We out here, we done sold everything. Every person that comes refers somebody else with them. Start talking to your business, start talking to your life, you start talking to your building. This is the conversations I'm having with my mom. Stop making your success. Stop basing your success or making your success based on something outside of you. That's why we all feel the need to control things, everyone and everything outside of us. That's why we feel stressed out, worried, and anxious, because we're trying to control something outside of us that we don't have a right to control. Why should somebody be what you want them to be? Why can't they be what they want to be? You don't want to be what they want you to be. You want them to stop. They want you to stop stopping them. Right? But a lot of it is we're trying to control everything outside of us because we're unwilling to control ourselves. We don't know how to do that. We don't realize how important we are. You control you will win. You'll win. You start talking to you properly, your diet get right, you got your security detail right, you got your mind, we're parenting your mind, taking it by the hand, talking to it, telling it what you want it to be, spending time with it, telling it what you want it to have. Here, these are my expectations. This is how I want you to act. Parenting, remember this old school word? I don't know if people still use it. Home training. We're not talking enough to our mind. You know, we all have kids. You walk into Ross. Listen, before you get out, this should happen before you can get out of the house. But you know, at least it happens when you get out the car. Your parents tell you, don't touch anything, don't ask me for anything, or don't touch anything before they lay out the rules. But if you're wiser, you lay out the rules before you get in the car. You lay out the rules before you leave the house. You say, these are the standards. This is how I expect you to conduct yourself. This is how we operate. This is how we move. You talk to your mind the same way. This is how we operate. We don't panic. We make good decisions. We always make good decisions. Our footsteps are guided. Our paths are always directed. We operate in perfect timing. We're always in the right place at the right time, doing and saying and thinking and feeling the right thing. We always making the right decisions. Always. We always know everything we need to know, what to do about it. You start talking that talk, you start talking to yourself. This is home training. So then when you go out in the world, it looks like somebody been talking to you. You have matured. Your mind has matured. So then when somebody cuts you off in the parking lot, you don't get into all that. But if you haven't talked to yourself, yeah, you're going to get into all that. You've already decided how your day is going to go. You've already decided how you're going to behave yourself. You've already decided how you're going to conduct yourself. You've already decided what your business is or isn't. You've already decided it's a success. You've already decided that you have perfect health. You've already decided that your business is blooming every day. You've already decided that every day you're getting new customers and you have a list full of testimonials long as the equator. You decide how this goes for you. That's what we're talking about here. But we're talking about consciously deciding. We're always deciding. This is not something new. This is what's new, is to make you conscious of the fact that it's happening. The game is on. It's like you see people say, hey man, the game is on. Yeah, it's happening. Just because you didn't know it doesn't mean they're waiting. Life is happening. You are deciding. We're just now becoming conscious of the fact that's true. The game is on. Oh, makes you do something different than when you didn't know the game was on. Once we become aware of something, we have the opportunity to do something about it. Every physical freedom you have is just a reflection of the mental freedom you've given. Your most important freedom is mental. It's not physical, it's mental. And if you apply mental freedom, you'll experience physical freedom. That's what your security detail is about. It's an expression of your freedom. It's saying, I want this at this post, this at this post, this at this post, because I'm coming through. I want my business to be like this, my health to be like this, because that's what I said. Like a parent, because I said so. Victory is a mentality. It is a consistent way of living. What I want us to understand and to do is to develop a mentality, a consistent way of living, also known as a lifestyle, a mentality. How does my life go? How does in all of its forms, how do things go for me? What are my expectations? Every day on the way to school, I've said this before, and I'm dropping my daughter off at school, we go over expectations. And I'll say, mind, and she'll say something about it. My mind is always healthy. I'll say friendships, and she'll say something like, I have great friends. Friend, I'm a great friend. Expectations. I want her to think about what is she expecting her day to be like, or these areas or aspects of her life to be like. If you just wait around and see what happens, don't be mad if it's not what you like. You didn't say nothing. In my best English, you didn't say anything. You didn't have any idea. Hey, what you want to do today? I don't know. Well, let's go to the park. Well, I don't want to do that. Well, what do you want to do? Well, I don't know. You ever had that? You ever have people that they don't know what they want to do, but they don't want to do that? No matter how many things you said, they don't want to do that. How many places you offer to eat, they don't want to eat that, but they don't know what they want to eat. set your expectations in every area of your life. What is your expectation of that? We've talked about this before. Magnifying. What areas of life do you want to see grow, expand, improve, blow up? As Jamie Foxx said way back in the day, voluptuate. What areas of life do you want to see increase and expand noticeably? I magnify my health. I magnify my friendships. I magnify the success of my business. I magnify time with my children. I magnify whatever, like you can pick anything you want. Anything you want. What do you want to see more of in your life? Everything in your life is a reflection of you, and it requires your attention in order to come, stay, and or leave. So you can either, in order to make it alive, it requires your attention. So as long as you keep your attention on it, it will come or it will remain. When you take your attention off of it, it will die. It will start to fade. Just like unplugging a power source to something. Sooner or later, it will fade because there's no power going to it anymore. All right. Good. I'll leave a little time for question, answer, comment, anything like that. What does anybody have to say?
Your timing was amazing with this topic. Thank you. Being away from home, kind of this really reminds me of the appreciation I have of the environment at home and just these conversations. So thank you.
Wonderful.
Stacy asked in the chat, how often do we do mental diet? I am new to the meetup. Okay, so Stacy, the morning meetup is a whole different community that I'm a part of. And I just like to, Coach Lucky and I like to share the link on the morning meetup in case people want to join. I'm gonna put our website, Coach Lucky's website, on the chat so that you can subscribe if you want to get our emails. But we meet every Saturday. And this is Coach Lucky, his business is the Mental Academy. And let me put that in the chat for you. But thank you for showing up from the morning meetup because you know, it's awesome that the community wants to grow. I love that community as well. So thank you for showing up. We appreciate you.
I think if I understood your question correctly, a mental diet is meaning a diet, right? What you eat is every day. But when we are really focusing on our mind, maybe more intently or more intensely, there's a great book. I'm sure you can find a free PDF online by Emmett Fox, and it talks about the 7-day mental diet. And essentially what it is saying for 7 days, you literally only think about what you want to think about. And anytime a thought comes into your mind that you don't want to think about, that is not serving you, that is counterproductive to your desire, you just refuse to entertain it. You just let it go and just don't entertain it. You just refuse to entertain it. And essentially it's talking about building the discipline of learning how to think about how to more consistently think about what you want. Think about how you want it. To be proactive about what you're eating, to be proactive about what you're thinking, and to make what you're thinking, just like what you're eating, be a contributor to your performance and not a detriment. A lot of times we're out working hard every day, but we're thinking so poorly that our hard work doesn't yield the results that we think it should. The book is called The 7-Day Mental Diet by Emmett Fox. The guy's name is Emmett Fox. It's called the 7-Day Mental Diet. That's just Neville Goddard talks about the mental diet. The Emmett Fox book is just talking about his thing is specifically on that. But the concept of a mental diet is essentially just taking some time to really think, like we've been saying today, taking some time to really think about what you're thinking about. And then taking a certain amount of days. He said 7. Some people do 3. Some people do, because he said if you are doing the 7-day mental diet and you start really thinking about things you want and really going into things you don't want, and you really going into too far, you got to start all over. So that's a whole nother situation. But the point is of that 7 days is to really hone in on your mind, like people would do on a regular diet, on what we call a connotative diet, how people use the word diet, where you restrict certain things, where it's just like, I'm not going to entertain thoughts that are not conducive to my happiness, my health, my behavior, whatever that I want the outcome of. And I'm only going to think about these things. And when anything comes up in my mind that I don't think is going to be helpful, I just refuse to do that. And really what that is designed to do is to help sharpen your mind and to help create the pattern, the consistency of you choosing what you focus on and choosing things that help you be, do, and have what it is you want. Okay, anyone else before we go? Any other questions, comments, statements, anything?
What up, Coach? It's Natasha.
Hey.
Hey, so I got a lot of takeaways, but the one that's like stuck with me is the whole food, thoughts, and people will either make you healthy or sick. So choose wisely. Yeah, that I like that one.
Yes. A lot of times people will watch what they eat and go home. They'll watch what they eat and don't watch what they watch. They'll be watching all kind of craziness, listen to all kind of craziness, listen to all kind of crazy people. They'll watch what they eat and watch what they watch, but don't watch where they go. And they'll be hanging out with all kind of craziness and all kind of crazy people. And all three of those individually and collectively have an effect on your mind, your psyche, your physical world. People make you so mad, blood pressure go up. People make you so mad, they make you sick. Or this food makes you not feel well, or this or that. All those three things individually and collectively contribute to your experience. And most often, most of us aren't as conscious and mindful about what we're picking, because they're a banana is designed to do something. An environment is designed to do something. A person is designed to do something. We can't just hang out with any one of those things and then say, well, I wish it doesn't do that. It's designed to do what it does. Therefore, we just have to be mindful of not picking things that we don't want that thing to, if that's what I get a dog and saying, why is it barking? It's like getting a cat and say, why is it meowing? It's a lot of times we are participating in things that their natural outcomes we don't like, and we don't think about that beforehand, or we try to get into it and change it instead of just being mindful of what it is, and that is designed to be what it is, and choosing things as it is, as we are, and saying, is this thing as it is and this thing as I am, do they go together? If yes, great. If not, not. And just making better decisions, just become more conscious and mindful. Yes. All right. Well, hey, thank you everyone for coming. Happy Saturday again. Thank you all for coming. It's always an honor and a pleasure to share this time with you, to come together and reason. Let's apply what we learned today. Let's use these next couple days and really be focused on what you're thinking about, and do your best to only think about what you want. And when thoughts come in that you don't care for, try to limit them, their existence, your participation, interaction with them, and try to go to a thought that's more pleasing. It doesn't have to go from 0 to 100, but just if you feel terrible, try to think of something that makes you feel bad, and then try to make you something that makes you feel good. Try to take a couple of steps. You don't have to go from 0 to 100. Just try to think the next better thought, the next best thought you can think from where you are. And it's just about developing the habit, right? Developing the habit. So let's develop the habit of thinking what we want to think so we can get what we want in life, right? So thank you all again. It's an honor and pleasure. Have a wonderful Saturday, and see you all.
Have a great
next
Saturday.
week.
Nice meeting everybody.
Have a great Saturday. Nice to meet you. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you, Coach Lucky.
Bye,
Yes,
guys.
thank you.
Coach, be easy.
That's it. Thank you all. Thank you all. Good to see you all. I appreciate you all so much.
Bye,
Thank you.
guys. Have a good
See you guys
one.
later.
All right. I'm gonna call you, Coach
Bye.
Lucky.